Your first house got taken by the,
Yeah.
yeah? And now the second one's getting eat up on it.
All right, I've got 6 o'clock, and Verizon knows also. So I'll call this meeting to order. If you're here to speak in public comment, you need to sign in on the public comment sign-in sheet up here. So I give anybody here going to speak? Okay, you need to, yes ma'am, just make sure you sign in. Is anyone else that wants to speak public comment? All right, so we'll go ahead and get started. The Pledge of Allegiance, Vice Mayor Barbara McRae.
Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So I want to welcome everybody here tonight. And so the first item is the adoption of the town council agenda for tonight. Does anybody have any changes, anything that they want to add or subtract? All right, if not, I'll entertain the motion to adopt the agenda as presented. Second. Motion and second. All in favor? Okay. The next is the approval of the consent agenda for July meeting, and anybody got any questions on the consent agenda? Had a chance to look it over?
I do have.
All right, yes ma'am.
I saw on there that street closing request for the Recovery Festival, and I believe is that a Friday?
It is.
And last year when they had that, I went up there and they had requested the street be closed from 5 to 9, but it was a big conflict with it being when everybody got off work.
Okay.
And they didn't close the street at 5. Do they need to, I know they kind of stood around and waited for a while. Is it okay to close it at 5? I think you were up, I remember you were there and they
yeah.
were. I just remembered that when I saw it. It said 5 to 9.
Yeah, I think we can work it out. I think there was a miscommunication. Is
Okay,
what I
was that
think
what it was?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was just a total miscommunication, so.
I mean, I didn't have any issue with it. I remember
Right.
there was confusion
Right.
last year.
You're right, it was.
Yeah, they didn't get started for a while.
Okay, anybody else got anything they want to change or bring up on the consent agenda?
I move we adopt it.
Okay, second?
Second.
All in favor? Okay, and the public session, public comment. The first is Mr. Roland Mott. Welcome, Roland.
Hey, how are y'all doing?
I haven't seen you in a day or two.
I'm gonna pass this around. This is I got turned into the ABC board, or Bates came by and talked to me and about having I've never been, fined or anything. I've got a warning this time, but I have to have a barrier if people are gonna have a beer as they eat dinner or lunch. They never take it off my sidewalk, but somebody complained, somebody having a beer out there. This is what I have, the ABC board that said I could do this, and I chose the colors of the red to kind of match and make it my little area. But there's plenty of room for wheelchair accessible, because I got plenty of wheelchair accessible people come in my restaurant. So I was just, before Justin came down there, fire chief, everybody, but I can't get it approved until, Justin can't sign it until y'all say it's all right for me to do this. The town is all right for me to do this, so. And this is all I'm asking, is just to put up the barrier. The barrier's going up. I changed the tables out there to square tables instead of round table. So you got plenty of room out there,
Yeah.
so, I mean, That's all I'm asking for, is just before I move forward to get approval to have beer out there, I gotta send it back to the ABC board, so.
Okay.
I'm just curious, can I ask a
Yeah,
question?
sure.
Is that the property that goes with the building, or is it the part of the
It's
town?
the part of the town. I thought it was all the way to the awning, but that's why I put the tables. There is only one table that's like on the pillar on the outside that's not, is on the town sidewalk, but it's not really, it's like the sidewalk part, but that's the smallest. Justin had concern of having a whole row of 55 inches going down for a big span. So I worked it out, put the square tables, pushed my pillars in, so you only have about this much area of 55 inches, and then it spreads out to 67 inches all the way down. So I was trying to make sure it's not a barrier type deal, so.
So, Mr. Mayor
Yes, sir.
and council members, I think most of you have had some exposure to the fact that we have an ordinance that deals with consumption of alcoholic beverages on sidewalks. So that's one problem. Another one is making sure that sidewalk, passability remains, because you do have an ordinance that says activities on sidewalks shouldn't block them, from ordinary travel. Now, I hear Roland saying that it doesn't, he won't do that. So I think the problem Justin confronts when this application comes to him is ordinarily what he's asked to do is just sign off that there's zoning compliance. So that it's the kind of business that our zoning ordinance allows in the place that it's in. This is a little bit different problem because he couldn't sign off and say you're in compliance with the town ordinances, because theoretically that's out on a town sidewalk and somebody consuming a beverage on it. So it's against your ordinance as it's written right now. So I don't think that you can approve it right now. I don't think the town has the ability to tell ABC Commission, yes, this would be fully in compliance with the town's ordinances, because you've got something that directly says you really can't do that. But I think it would be wise to consider, and it's something that we could bring we have an ordinance review committee meeting set up for, when is it, July 22nd? July 22nd.
Yeah.
That we could examine whether or not, as you and I talked about, Mr. Mayor, an exception to that. We've already made one exception for breweries that occupy former town property when we leased the Lazy Hiker property. So you could maybe have a neatly tailored one that says if it's sidewalk proper another town controlled property, but right in front of the business and otherwise permitted by an ABC permit, you could.
Is it possible to have a virtual boundary, or does it have to be a physical boundary?
I think, and it's something I'd look into before I bring you an ordinance change, I think the ABC Commission pretty much requires some physical boundary.
No, so we're talking about state, not the local
Yes.
ABC board? Okay. Well, I talked to Adam, and he agrees that this is something we need to bring up at the ordinance review committee.
Yeah, I mean, if you can be there too, Roland, I think that'd be good.
Yeah.
The
So
ethics
it's
meeting,
the 23rd,
Yeah, yeah, and you know what time right now? I don't. off the top of my
11
head.
o'clock.
11.
11
I don't
o'clock
know
on the
if you
20th.
can, I'll be here for sure, and because I think, and we've talked about this before, I think as a board too, with potential special use
28th or
consideration for things like
22nd.
this, because it's
Okay.
not the first time, it's not the last. We're going to keep running into issues like this, I think. So.
Until that ordinance review,
And I don't see-
is there anything temporary that we can do to
Yeah.
help roll them out?
Use them in the meantime.
No.
Can I get everything signed off, and then when y'all go before this board, or do I have to wait? Because I don't know how long it's going to take for the ABC board to approve it on my end. That's what I've been, because I'm turning away customers left and right because they have pets and they're sitting out there and want a beer and eat. So that's the only problem I'm having. I'm losing business because, and I mean, they just leave. I mean, they don't even eat because they get mad. I mean, I mean, I just, I don't know. I never had a problem until, nobody ever gets carried away out there. I mean, it's just,
Right.
I don't know. That's just.
Well, we're gonna address it.
In the meantime, because that's gonna take a month, the actual seats that are on Roland's property, he can use those and people can consume with that.
I can take away the third table, and if I took away the third table, the other two seats is underneath where Ben's property, the pillars, and I can, if I get this signed, I can put that toward, and then if you do address the thing, I can put that third table out there.
Right.
Can I ask something?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, this separation or whatever, is that defined somewhere? Could he like paint part of the sidewalk a certain color?
Possibly.
So you wouldn't have to put up something?
Yeah.
I have to put it up
You
with
have
the
to put it
ABC
up.
board.
And I think it's an ABC commission rule, is a physical sort of.
And it has to be physical.
But another problem is, this is persons to be heard.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's not even on the agenda. We're discussing it whenever it's really not, when we hear persons to be heard, we hear the people and we move on. And so if we're gonna, we've already voted to adopt the agenda, so I don't see that we can do anything tonight if we wanted to.
And that's true. And if the council's not able, the town's not able to sign off on the compliance statement at the moment. Let me get with Justin and we'll talk to you and see what we can convey to ABC Commission in the meantime.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it, Roland. All right, Ms. Taylor, welcome.
Thank you.
How are you?
I'm fine. Hope y'all doing well. I just come to say that we are well underway for the Heritage Festival, which is July 20th, and we did want to come and just all the support that we have from our council here and from the town and the merchants. Right now, we have 70 vendors that are coming in, so we're excited about that. We also opened it up after a previous board meeting with some of our nonprofits. I emailed just about every nonprofit that I could think of, and there may be some few more, that if they wanted to have a space in the gazebo area for their nonprofit to be able to give out literature, what they're about. I know Reach and CareNet, they've all said, yes, we want to be there. Read to Me program is going to have somebody there. So we did reach out to those nonprofits just to give them, to not charge them any vendor fee, just to come and hand out information. And just to raise awareness. And we still have some space for some more nonprofits as well. We do have some spaces for some vendors for businesses. We've had some businesses. We will have the fire truck there again this year for the kids. We'll have storytelling and historic museum, and then craftsmen selling their wares that they have. But we do just want to come and thank you and everything that the town puts their effort to help us, and also the county. The sheriff's department has agreed the sheriff is to open up the courthouse that day as well to have bathrooms, and we have porta potties coming, and I know the town has their bathrooms. But we just wanted to come and thank y'all.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Okay, Ms. Miles, Cindy? Welcome.
Thank you. Hello. Thank you so much for letting me be here. I speak for a living, and I'm normally not nervous, and I'm shaking in my boots.
We're harmless, let me assure you.
Well, okay. Mr. Mayor and distinguished members of the Town Council, I just want to speak to you tonight briefly about the impact of the decision of the Town Council to eliminate the funding for nonprofits from the 2019 and 20 budget. $40,000 savings on the general fund portion of the budget of $4.16 million is less than a 1% savings. It's 0.96 and a bunch of other number percentage. In fact, I blew it up so that you can see it's a modest savings. But to be very blunt, the savings of less than 1% on the town's part has the potential consequence
of jeopardizing access to tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars of grants from other sources. Many funders now require evidence of formal partnerships and financial buy-in by towns, municipalities, counties, and other public entities. So the Town Council's decision to eliminate funding for local nonprofits will automatically close many doors for many of our local nonprofits here. Throughout my career, I've worked in human services, and I've written over $50 million in successful grant proposals. And I know the language that exists in most of the RFAs and RFPs and RFQs that are out there. And it's in almost 100% of all federal notices of funding. And the language sounds something like this. Evidence of partnerships with a local government entity is required. Partnerships must involve at least two primary partners, a nonprofit 501c3 organization, and a local government entity. I realize that as elected government officials, you work very hard to be good stewards of the resources that you've been trusted to manage. And for that, I thank you. So as part of your due diligence and arriving at this decision, as you were looking for cost savings in the budget, did you look at the return on investment from your prior year's nonprofit grants? Do you currently have an idea of how much grant money from other sources has been leveraged by the Franklin nonprofits who have received funds from the town in previous years? And if not, why not? And if not, how could you make an informed decision? Some of you have been quoted saying that the nonprofits just need to do a better job of fundraising. That is such an overgeneralization. If you look on social media, you'll find 2 and 3 and often more fundraising activities on almost every single weekend. The nonprofits in this town and their board members are fundraising their butts off. To suggest otherwise is unfair and inaccurate. Losing funding from the town of Franklin will not cause any of these nonprofits to fail. While it may save the town of Franklin $40,000, it could very easily cost the town tens or hundreds of $1,000s of lost grant revenue, because now our nonprofits won't even be eligible to apply. If the elimination of the funding causes our nonprofits to suddenly become ineligible, they very easily could fail, and I honestly do not think that's what you want to see happen. So I ask you, is the town of Franklin prepared to step in the breach should any of these organizations fail? Are you prepared, town of Franklin, to deal with the overpopulation of animals if AARC should fail? Is the town of Franklin in a position to offer hope and healing to a child that's been abused at the hands of an adult, like Kids Place, should they fail?
Ms. Miles, I'm sorry, but you're about to go over time.
Yes, sir.
I forgot, and in all fairness, I forgot to mention that we have a 3-minute limit, so I have let you go ahead and.
Okay, thank you. I just have one
Sure, you go
Thank
right ahead and finish it up.
There's an old idiom, penny wise and pound foolish, which describes the act of concentrating so hard on economizing in small matters that one misses the opportunity to save or gain a large amount of money in larger matters. I think we can all agree that in any healthy community, nonprofit organizations do a great deal of the heavy lifting. And these safety nets are safety nets that you as town leaders count on. And you know that the citizens of Franklin need to be able to count on those services as well. So I simply ask you to reconsider. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, ma'am.
And may I leave this in the record?
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, Kathy Hellman. Hi, Kathy, welcome.
Hi, you all remember me, I'm sure. I'm the animal person. I just first want to address what Cindy mentioned about the nonprofits not working hard enough to raise money. I spent Thursday, Friday, and Saturday putting together a yard sale to raise money for our spay-neuter program and raised a whopping $175 for 3 days' work, which is not going to go real far. So I'm giving you one more plea to let you know how much we really need your help with the spay-neuter fund. Last year, we spayed or neutered 170 animals that were pets of low-income families. So if we had not been able to help them, they not only would have not been spayed or neutered, which would have added to our population, they would have never received their rabies vaccination or parvo or the bordetella. And rabies and parvo, we know we don't want in the county. Parvo, we have been overrun with parvo sick animals this year because people are not inoculating their animals. So this funding not only takes care of the low-income families, but for spay-neuter, but it also helps with the vaccinations, which are really important. So we're trying our best to raise the money. Right now, we have a little less than 1,000 left, which isn't going to go real far. The big 175 I made this weekend is not going to go real far either, but we are trying. It's not that we're not trying to raise money and that we don't want a handout. We have a fundraiser every month at our shelter to raise money. So just want you all to reconsider, and if there's any way you can help us, we would really appreciate it.
Just my own curiosity,
Mhm.
roughly what is the neuter and spay cost just for, say, the people that are residents of Franklin would come to you? Can you give me kind of a ballpark figure?
Well, if you go to your vet, it's anywhere from $100 to $200 for your, yes, it's expensive. We use Humane Alliance in Asheville, and it's like $65, $55, $65 depending. When it's a low-income family, we pay half of that
Okay,
so that they can afford to do it.
okay. That's what I was needing to know. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank y'all so much.
Okay.
Okay, was anybody else? That's all I had signed up. Okay, new business, update on Town of Franklin comp plan. Mr. Setzer, sir, you're up.
Even Town Council and Mayor. So the last couple of months, been working on the comprehensive plan, and just want to give an update of where we're at. We have created a steering committee which is comprised of business owners, property owners, just residents, people in the school system, people in medical, so a wide variety. Gwen's on our steering committee to represent the downtown merchants. So they've met twice. We have, with our consultants, we took our consultants around, gave them tours of town, showed them different areas of town, the conditions in town, and where the commercial and residential is. Have had quite a few, had a couple, 2 to 3 days, we had some stakeholder interviews, actually having some interviews with different property owners and business owners inside the town, and nonprofits, churches, department heads of the town, to get their input on the needs of Franklin. One thing, we have a website the consultants have created, which is franklintownplan.com. There's a link on the town's website, so you can go check it out and see some of the upcoming events. I've passed out a flyer here. I've got some more if anybody want any, to all of the media. I've already passed one out to them. Start coming up on July the 17th through the 20th. That's a Wednesday through a Saturday. We are going to have a 3-day charrette for the comp plan. It's going to be housed out of the Tartan Hall at the Presbyterian Church, just because it's got more space there. It's going to be So the first will be Wednesday evening from 4 to 6. On the 17th is a public meeting, an open meeting. And then on Thursday, we're going to have a variety of just open studio, people drop in, a walking tour for downtown, going to have a community tour in the afternoon. Transit's agreed to let us have a bus to take people around to discuss and see their opinions and concerns. And then another public meeting that Thursday evening to just continue adding on to what we've learned during those tours and the other meetings. And then Friday, we're going to have a coffee talk at the Rathskeller that morning from 8 to 9. And then Saturday, the 20th, we'll have a booth at the Heritage Festival. And also, we're doing this, hopefully maybe releasing, hopefully next week after the 4th, we'll have a online survey. And then even have some paper copies of surveys for residents to fill out, property owners, visitors. So just urge everybody to come to the charrette, town council of course, come to the charrette, see what there's. I don't want to get into any detail because I want people to see it firsthand. Any of the ones that, David's our town council member on the charrette, and there's some of the information that the consultants have found that are, some of it's, kind of alarming. You would not think in Franklin. So just want people to come get involved and see this, and so we can have a good plan for the future.
Okay. Any questions from the board?
Questions?
Where is the festival that you're talking about?
It's downtown.
It's a downtown festival. Okay,
yeah.
sorry.
One of the
Didn't say
merchants
in
are
the
putting on.
comment.
It was the next festival that we could have a booth at, so that's why we planned the charrette festival to try to get as more input as possible.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else? Okay, thank you,
If anybody
sir.
wants to see flyers, I'll have some.
Chief, would you check the thermostat? I'm getting impressions over here, McCree's.
Oh, no, I'm fine.
Are you not cold?
No.
Oh, I thought you were cold.
No.
Never mind.
No,
I'm
I'm
sorry. False impression.
I just had a heavy workout.
Oh, okay. All right. I apologize. Don't do that. Update on joint meeting dates with the Macon County and the Town of Highlands. Madam Manager.
Yes, Mr. Mayor and Council, I have reached out to the county manager and the town manager of Highlands, and it looks like the date that's best suited for their boards as well would be July the 30th. That's on a Tuesday. And what we're looking at is maybe doing that around 6 p.m. and kind of wanted to get some feedback from the council where you'd like to host it at. One of the suggestions that administration's kind of thought about is if you'd want to host it at our local fire department, at Franklin Fire Department.
Okay, any questions? Does that suit everybody, July the 20th? 30th, excuse me.
I've got no problem with the date, and that may be a best spot, but where they put us in Highlands last time, and for us to go to the firehouse, I ain't sure.
Well, there might be some other information to be released. It might be a real good deal. Yeah. You want to go into detail about what we were talking about doing?
If we do it at the fire department, I thought we could do a steak dinner for everyone.
But we could do that if we did it at Big Bear Park or something
Could.
else too. I mean, that was one other thing that came to my mind. I have no dog in this fight, except I want us to do it at a place that's, classy, so to speak, or certainly, and what does the board do? What does the board do? We don't have to decide immediately tonight, I guess. We just got to give notice of where it's going to be
Right.
in time, but there's probably plenty of other options out there too.
I would say that nationally, probably some of the finest cuisine you will find anywhere is prepared by and in firehouses. And it will be something more than firehouse chili. Am I on target back there, Chief?
Yes, sir. I'll speak. I don't have I'm open to other suggestions. I'm perfectly fine with it being in a fire. I think, in a way, it's almost kind of a novel idea. I mean, you're having a government meeting, you're having it with a municipal function, incredibly important function. So I don't have an issue with it under any circumstance. Doesn't mean I'm not open to debate or suggestion. But
Will it be possible to allow council members to climb the ladder? Of the ladder truck?
I can't remember my heels.
How about we
then.
settle for a ride in the old fire truck? We'll settle for a ride in the old fire truck.
I mean, we do, some of you do ride it in the Christmas parade, so. All right, anybody else, or can we proceed, or?
That's probably a call made by our manager, don't you think?
I'll be unable to attend, but I support wherever you guys have it.
We'll save you a steak.
Thank you.
All right, then I guess where we are right now, it seems like we're just about at the, of July the 30th to have it at the firehouse, fire station. Okay, good. All right, purchase of a pumper truck for the Franklin Fire and Rescue. Chief Breedlove, sir, you're up, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Madam Manager, and Town Council members. Thank you. So in front of you, I have provided a packet of information. We are asking that you consider the purchase of a used fire pumper truck, known to us as an engine. This apparatus currently belongs to the Cashiers Fire Department. We have housed this apparatus for approximately 1 month now, and have had the privilege of using it and get to knowing about it, and seeing if we really have the desire and need for this addition. So tonight I bring this for you. A little history about the truck. It was purchased and bought originally by Cashiers Fire Department. It's a 1997 model Ford 800 series fire pumper. As we know, Cashier lies in Jackson County, which is a sister county to us, and being that it's had a complete lifespan there, I feel that it's a clean, salt-free, sound structural truck. To continue that, Cashiers Fire Department is well known in Western North Carolina. It's kind of a thing going between the fire departments that Cashiers is well known for their pride in their equipment and their strong ability to keep their equipment well maintained. They exceed the expectations. If anyone ever has a chance to go to Cashiers, I encourage you to stop by and see Chief Diller and his equipment. They've got some really nice things going there. This truck is a 1250 gallon per minute pump, which is a large pump in the fire service. It offers us additional 1,000 gallons water capacity, which meets and all classifications for a Class A engine for a structural fire protection. Just to add to this a little note, why we need this truck. We had a ISO inspection in the year 2012. In 2013, we had a truck similar to this purpose fail us in pump issues, and to be honest with the board tonight, it was beginning to be a little dangerous. It was wear and tear on it, and we decided for safety issues that we needed to sell that truck. So we done our diligence there and sold that truck, but we were looking to make up for that loss and hopefully have additional water resources available and that additional pump in-house if needed. We feel that if we have the chance to go back through an ISO inspection in the next 5 to 10 years, even sooner, that would be a great asset to have that water replaced and that 1,000 gallons sitting in the station. So that's why we're asking for this. This truck comes as a truck that is fully equipped, fully ready to go back in the station and go in service. Everything on it is still in service life. It has been tested, it's been pump tested. The truck is running great. We did have some minor issues with fuel pickup, but that has been resolved. Cashiers Fire Chief talked to me personally and said if there is a problem, that he would be glad to help us get that fixed. So he's went above and beyond to allow us to use this truck and have a good working relationship there. Equipment on this truck indicates that it's got approximately 13,289 miles on the truck. It's got 1,242 engine hours on the engine. That's running engine hours. That indicates to me that it's got low pumping hours. It's got very little wear and tear on this truck. I've asked my team at the fire department, chief engineer and officers to look over this truck, drive it. They crawled up under it. They've had their hands very much into this project. We traveled to Mississippi in the last few months to look at other options. We compared apples to apples and oranges to oranges. And honestly, this is the best value that we have come across in the last few months of research and study in this project. So upon comparing prices of this truck to trucks of the same year model, mileage, same wear and tear, the truck's value approximately is $40,000 with no equipment. With the truck the way it is, with all the equipment on it, ready to back in our station, go immediately to service. For us to replace the equipment additionally from the $40,000 value on that truck would be approximately $50,000 plus or minus. We added that up with great research, and we think that this is a good deal. A truck equivalent to the one presented to you tonight, again with no equipment, it's approximately a $40,000 value as a used truck. But however, to purchase this new one, same purpose, same size, same general make, would be about $250,000 to $300,000 for a new truck. So with this in mind, we're asking that the board be familiar that the Cashiers Fire Department has presented us a price, and that is their asking price is $62,500. The chief, the Cashiers Fire Department Chief Dillard has made the quote that is negotiable. The reason that they are doing away with this truck is they have to downgrade. His board has asked him to get rid of some apparatus. They've got several stations. I think they have 4 stations in their department, and they was housing at least 2 trucks in each one of them. He's going to get downgrade to 1 truck and 1 substation. So this truck is still an excellent truck. I talked to their chief engineer and their people, and they said it's honestly one of the best pumping trucks that they've got, and they would hate to see it go, but they would be glad that it goes to a good family if we see fit. So that's my proposal tonight, and ask that you would take great consideration into this for the benefit of the fire department and the citizens that we serve.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you say 52,000?
$62,500
Six, okay.
is the asking price.
6 or 5?
62.5.
62.5.
Yes, sir.
Negotiable.
And Mr. Mayor and Council,
Yes,
if I may add just a little bit into this as well. In the budget process for fiscal year 1920, we did include 38,000. We weren't certain, it gave us a starting point. So there is 38,000 existing in the current proposed budget. If it was the will of the council tonight, it'd be looking at, at least starting, hopefully it is negotiable, but maybe using the baseline of the 62.5 with that, if that's where you wanted to go, it'd be around $24,500. And they do have it in their fund balance, in the fire department's fund balance, if that's something you wish to do.
If I may, it sounds like you've really done your homework on this. I'm impressed by the work that y'all have put into it, and sounds like a good deal to me.
I was just noticing the number of air packs and all that's on that truck, and basically it looked like it's got everything except turnout gear on it. Just for the public's sake, what does it cost to outfit a firefighter? Individually, it's amazing what it
The
costs.
turnout gear alone, you're looking at $3,200 per set, helmet, jacket, coat, boots, gloves, just to get started. We're not speaking of training, cost, insurance, things of that nature, but the gear alone is anywhere from $3,200 to $3,500 for a really good set of gear. On top of that, an air pack averages about $1,600, but we buy those and leave them on the apparatus.
Right. Mr. McMahon, sir?
Right in line with Mayor Scott's question, just to be clear, you said just the equipment on the truck is valued at $50,000.
Brand new, the equipment brand new to put that equipment that's currently on the truck would be around $50,000.
And the equipment that they have is same age as the truck, same usage as the truck?
All the equipment has, some of it has been replaced over the years. Different, I guess, years on the shelf life of that, but it's all in date and all usable and accessible to go at this point.
I know.
By
Yes.
end date, how many years those things usually have till they stay in date?
Which piece of equipment? The hose has to be tested it's annually. We test it annually to make sure that it holds PSI to a certain amount and it's not dangerous. As long as it's not exposed to chemicals or fire burning through the liner of that, it can remain in service. The air packs are generally a 15-year bottle.
Are you saying that there is a little life left on some of the equipment? It's not
Yes,
real
yes.
close to the end of the,
Yes, sir.
not an immediate need of.
There's nothing to my attention that is immediate need to be replaced.
Counselor,
Sir?
here's my problem. Whatever number we authorize, that's what we're gonna pay. I mean, this is a public meeting. They're gonna be able to know exactly how much, is this not fodder for a closed session?
You can, yes, sir.
I mean, to negotiate the parameters of a price, I can't see a better. Otherwise, we're just, we're tipping our hand. We'll say we'll authorize 24, but try to get it for less. They know you've already authorized 24. I mean, that's just where we're at. Now, if it is lawful to, to do it in a closed session. Otherwise, I'm tempted to say 20,000 more, and then let them, if it's negotiable down to 58,000, and give you that. That's where I'm thinking.
Let me just double check the statute. I want to, because I have a niggling suspicion that it's actually limited to purchase for acquisition of real property, so let me double check that.
It could be.
We have to replace the truck that we don't have anymore. No? Or we want
You're
to for
down
our
a
ISO
truck.
rating?
You're down a truck, correct, Chief?
We are down what we had when we went through ISO inspections. For future reference and to really keep those ratings, we would prefer to gain that access back to that benefit that we had. I think it'd be great beneficial on the town of Franklin to keep that rating, and we're going to try our hardest, and I think to have that additional truck replaced would be a great asset.
In the rating, if we lose a rating, it actually costs every homeowner more on their homeowner's insurance?
Absolutely.
Yes, sir. And business owners even more.
I'm sorry, Joe, go ahead.
No.
I was just gonna say, it sounds to me like we need the truck, and it sounds to me like you guys have done a great deal of research. I don't see any reason why you wouldn't have picked the best, what you feel to be the best value for the money.
How much do you feel like he's willing to come down? I know that crowd up there.
Listen, if more than half the value of this is used equipment. Used equipment generally, in my mind, doesn't hold up as much as maybe a used truck or whatever. I'm willing to go another 20,000. If we're gonna negotiate out here, I'm willing to go another 20,000 and just see where they're at. The board could possibly hold or whatever if we had to get somewhere, but if they're gonna be negotiable, I want to give them the chance to negotiate. That's kind of where I'm thinking.
So I just checked the statute, and it does say it's peculiar to real estate. So
Okay.
really,
All right.
now that it's in open session, I think you have to conclude it here. And so, you could either decide that you somewhat less than full asking price are willing to give your manager authority to go negotiate the best price you can, or when you say 20,000, are you?
We already have 38,
Uh,
and that'd be 58, and that's about 4,500. On a $62,000 car, I could beat them down 4,500.
I think that's a really healthy first offer, to be honest. So, yeah,
Do you?
I think they'd happily take that.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am. Certainly.
That's not even-
Along the lines, mine's not a price issue. So we budgeted 38,000, and then you said they had 24,500 or 20.
If you were to pay the full amount, where I was going with that is you would just need to take the additional balance out of the fire department's fund balance.
And I guess that's my question, is that how we normally, coming out of their fund balance? I'm trying to make sure that they take it out, they're okay about their things there.
Ms. Doster and I have looked at their fund balance, and they have a very healthy fund balance right now, where that would not hurt them in any way out of the fire department.
Yes, ma'am.
I like David's suggestion that we, or whoever, maybe it was Joe, that we authorize Summer to negotiate and see.
So we have to put some numbers on it. We do.
Something less than, can we say something less than 62?
Let me get a 10%
$62,499.
Who's your best negotiator, chief? Like I said, I know that bunch up there, and I think probably they're more than willing to work with us. There's a camaraderie within the departments, and I just don't know where you want to put the ceiling.
I know nothing about fire equipment, so I'm not in a position to negotiate. You guys know what you're doing.
The fellows who do know about fire
Yeah.
equipment are standing right here, and if they're saying it's a good deal, then
But I mean, if I were gonna buy a used car, I would expect myself to try to get 10% off of the asking price. Is that out of line?
I don't think so. As Chief Dillard indicated, this is negotiable. I don't expect to try to step on their department and their wishes. However, I just ask the board to consider that this is a really good deal, in my opinion, in my research. I think this is not unreasonable at all. And just keep that in mind. That's all I can ask of you.
I know nothing about fire trucks either, but it looks really good. Chief, I think it's I thought it was new when you first brought it down, quite frankly.
Let's make the motion to authorize for them to spend $20,000 out of fund balance and get that thing tax tagged and titled all the way to us within that $20,000 additional.
How much extra is there? After we get it, how much more are we gonna have to pay to get it on the road?
It's in our station, in service as we speak.
For tax tag and title?
To be honest, Mr. Collins, I've not checked into that.
It was a permanent tag.
Let's do the $20,000 authorized. That way, let's get it all done with the $20,000 from fund balance. I'll make the motion.
All right.
Let authorize to use the $38,000 we already have budgeted and $20,000 additional from the fire department's fund balance to get this thing in the town of Franklin's name, tax tag and title on the road and everything.
So there's not a whole lot to the tax tag and title.
No, we get permanent tags on the fire trucks.
So that gives you most all the money to work with straight to cash. I'll second that motion.
Okay. All in favor? Any further discussion? All in favor?
the only reason I'm hesitant to vote in favor, can I say this now? Is this an okay time for me to say?
Sure.
Because if these gentlemen think that it's a good truck and it's a good deal and it's what we need and it's a fair price, then I personally don't have a problem with them being able to pay what is asked. I don't want them to go up there and say, hey, we can only give you, 58, and they're gonna say no deal.
Well,
If they
did
said
I
no deal.
misunderstand your motion?
No.
You didn't put any price on it.
I did, authorized $20,000
It's
from
what
fund
they're-
balance.
yeah.
David, they did suggest that it is negotiable, so we know that there is some room. I also think this, we've had it for a month, we're very interested. If that $58,000 don't get it, we can get our heads back together if we have to,
Okay, I agree
quick
with that.
enough.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm of the opinion, I don't want them to lose it over $5,000 when you've already said it's, or not even five, that you've said it's a good deal.
We don't want to hurt their department either. I mean, we want them to get money, but we're spending money we don't have on a truck that we need. So it behooves us to try to save money without trying to hurt them.
Madam Manager?
Oh, I'm sorry.
She had,
Yes, Mr. Mayor and Council, one thing just to note, I do believe there are interested buyers in this truck, correct, Chief?
That's correct. Chief Dillard has contacted me and expressed that he does have a department in a neighboring county that's interested in the purchase of the truck if we were not.
Okay. Okay, your motion's on the floor and it's at a second, and there was further discussion. Now I guess it's time for a vote. Huh? Well, I think it's,
It's a pickle.
the motion's on the floor. So, yes, ma'am?
I agree with your motion to the extent that if there was some way to add discretion of the manager and the fire chief in their negotiations to get the best possible price and to where we possibly do not have to get back together. I don't know how to phrase that.
Mr. Culpepper, would you modify your motion for another $20,000, which would allow effectively up to a $58,000 offer with $2,000 discretionary with our manager?
I absolutely, it will, that's sufficient.
Okay. Motion, as I guess amended. Any further discussion? All in favor of David's motion? We have a second.
A second.
You did have a second, I thought,
Yes,
yes.
we amended it, yeah.
Okay, all in favor? Okay, move on it before the truck gets any older.
We will.
Thank you. I appreciate the council.
Thank you, Chief. Y'all done a good job.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Good going. Okay, Madam Manager, we have a discussion on some real property located at Phillip Street.
Yes, Mr. Mayor and Council, what you have before you tonight, and Mr. Henning, feel free to jump in at any time. I have a packet out at your desk just to look at. I know we had talked about the Phillip Street property. It's the parking lot that the town currently owns. What we would like to address and kind of explore with the board tonight, if it would be the board's desire to look at possibly doing a real estate trade in a property located on 441 North. That's also in your packet, to look at the possibility of some future sites for the possibility of a fire substation. Mr. Henning?
So, I don't know that we've ever done this exact procedure with town property that I can ever remember, but you're authorized under the statutes to make an exchange of real or personal property belonging to the city for other real or personal property by private negotiation if you receive a full and fair consideration for the exchange. All it requires you to do is give notice of your intent to consider doing it at least 10 days out and at a regular meeting. So you'd have to wait till your August meeting at the very least to consider, and you also have to get full and fair consideration. So the next question is, if you were interested in trading that piece of property on Phillip Street for some piece of property you could use for your fire substation, and as Summer said, it's got substantial value to the town in terms of its accessibility to other areas in the rural fire protection district. It's as simple as determine, that you're going to consider it at your next meeting. The big question to me is figuring out what full and fair consideration is. What I did here is, that's about 5 acres of the property, which just by per acre value is worth roughly the same thing as your property on Phillip Street. The property on Phillip Street, you see the tax value is $125,000. Per acre value of this tract is roughly, you need 5 acres to equal that. Now, I don't know that you have interest in all of that property. You may want to talk about, it is, you could exchange some personal property like money for a portion of what you'd be getting in exchange for the Phillip Street property. Where I think you are tonight is that, and please have discussion, and I'm more than happy to try to answer any questions, is if you want to explore it further and you think we might be ready to do that by your August meeting, authorize the publication of the notice that you're going to consider it at your August meeting, and we will come back to you with what we think is a full and fair consideration for you to authorize at that point. And then from there, I'd draw a deed and exchange it with Mr. Drake for the property. Happy to answer any questions you've got about it.
Questions of Mr. Henning?
Yeah, I'd like to see it authorized for us to at least talk about it. I don't know that we need 5 acres, but I'm certain there's other considerations that, maybe not money either, but some other considerations, maybe that we get the substation where we need it to go. And
Is the fear that on paper, the value of the parking lot is gonna be more than what we need to get on the other end?
So, and we've had some discussion about that, and I do think there is substantial value in that property where it is that is unique to the town, to have the ability to access all of that rural protection district from up there. It's already flat and graded and ready for from what I understand, Mr. Drake welcomes the ability we both have a road access directly to 441, the one-way, and then down through NP&L Loop, I think it's still called that, the other way. So you have access to get out both ways on 441. But if you only took, and I think that they consulted Aaron Garrett, the surveyor, who looked at that flattened area up there and said it was about 8/10 of an acre, I think. I mean, on paper anyway, you're talking about a difference of $100,000 in terms of tax value or something along those lines. I'd be a little uncomfortable with saying that's close enough.
Although, I mean, is it gonna take an appraisal of both properties? I mean, you know,
If you can't make a justification with, here's a property value on the tax books for the same amount. Yeah, I think you need something to back it up in case somebody disputed it.
We have a property we really can't use, and a property that we need.
Right.
It's,
You know, years back, we have always discussed the need, and Chief, this goes way back, the need for a substation in case something were to happen in town, and all of our equipment is tied up in one building. We've discussed that before, and this looks like it would be an ideal place for public safety, if nothing else, to have some apparatus out in that country, and where we could supplement it if we ever needed to with, say, another pumper or what rescue vehicle.
would there be some use of the property, say, for educational use, training, or, you know, I don't know exactly what they might have to do for training, but in the future that it could be used for something?
Well, all we can do tonight is move forward to explore it and see, because if it's, the numbers as such, Bill may say throw in another, you know, who knows where we're at, so.
Okay. All right, any further discussion from the board on this? Let's move on. Mr. Henning, you want to make any kind of a motion?
Yes, sir. We need a motion to authorize town staff to advertise your intent to consider a property exchange at your August meeting.
I'll make the motion.
Okay.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor? All right. Okay, legal. Discussion on the Riverbend Water Service Agreement. Madam Manager and Counselor?
Mr. Henning, I'll let you start this one for us.
Mr. Mayor and council members, as I'm sure many of you know, ever since the Wilkie Street water tower expansion and all of the service that we managed to get through it and in cooperation with the county out to Swiss Colony, Hickory, Knoll, that whole area also included the ability to get Riverbend water system tied on to our system. At that time, and because they already were an operator within their own area there, the proper way to do that, interact with them as the water maker, producer, is to get into this sort of water purchase agreement, which you did in 2011. The corporation, Riverbend Water System, Inc., since then had some difficulties and was, became well in arrears to the town for, it didn't follow us through some rate hikes and just various other problems that they ran into. And so for the last couple of years now, they have been run by Carolina Water System, Inc., a professional operator who does this all over the place. And they now are intending to purchase the whole system. They again have just been Utility Commission's handpicked entity to be the emergency operator of it while they worked out how to get this fixed for the long term. So they are now ready to complete that and actually purchase and take over the system there. And what they presented to us in part, and to do it as a step in doing that, is this amendment to this water purchase agreement we've had with Riverbend, which will, most importantly for our purposes, have all of the arrearage paid off before it's assigned. So it's $50-some-odd thousand that will be paid off, and they'll take the other steps they need to take to purchase the system itself from Riverbend and all of its assets, at which point we should have and I think they have been current on everything since they've taken over. We should have a good customer there for the town for the future. So I'm happy to answer any questions you've got about this amendment and assignment. But that's essentially what it does. Is after the town's the debts are paid off to the town and they complete their purchase, they'll be our new customer there rather than Riverbend Water Systems Inc. Again, happy to answer any questions. All we need from you tonight is a motion to approve the amendment and assignment agreement.
Any questions? If
Sounds
not,
good.
yeah, you're making the motion?
Well, I will, yeah.
Oh,
I said
good,
it sounds
okay.
good, but I don't
All
know.
right, yeah, a second.
I'll second.
All right, all in favor? All right.
Thank you.
Okay, that completes the agenda except for the announcements. Town hall offices will be closed Thursday, July the 4th, in observance of July the 4th. And the town of Franklin will be having a July the 4th celebration downtown at the Gazebo on Thursday, July the 4th, from 10 o'clock to 12 p.m. Anybody wants to pitch in, be at Town Hall at 8:30 that morning. And we'll take it from there. And Friday night, the Town Hall movie night will be Friday at sundown or close to it. And the movie will be Mary Poppins Returns. Anything else anybody wants to bring? Let's go around the table real quick. Like, Mr. Kimsey, you look like you got something on your mind.
Yeah, I just wanted to let everybody know, it kind of got lost a little in the consent agenda. Dave Lynn's here tonight. He's having his 80s flashback, regular, basically annual event at this point, at the beginning of August.
Yeah.
What dates are those, buddy?
August 2nd and 3rd.
August 2nd and 3rd?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Come on up.
You want to go ahead and say something about it real quick?
Sure.
I mean, we talked about in the past, is proclaiming August the
Right.
3rd as an 80s flashback for the benefit for the Greenville Shrine Hospital. And tonight, I brought some of the Shrine Club members with me too to join me up. And it's been a successful year, this past one, and it's getting bigger than ever. And just wanted to continue to have the town support of everything from the parade to the events, from the Cindy Lauper Tree Yards to, down at the Blaze Hiker too. So I know we talked about proclaiming it, and I was just wondering if it was on the schedule tonight, but I guess it wasn't, but that's okay, I thought it was.
Well, it is. It's
Okay.
just on the consent agenda, so I just wanted to be sure it still got brought up.
Okay,
to the
okay,
media
yeah,
and the public.
Okay, I'll
So
just
basically, we have proclaimed August 3rd.
Okay. But like I said, okay. Like I said, I was just a little worried about that. But no, I just want to tell the town, thank you so much for helping us out in every way. It's getting bigger and bigger every year, and it benefits the Greenville Shrine Hospital, where 65 families in Macon County go and get free service or at low cost, and everything too. I mean, I'm a former patient, I got to tell you all the time, and because of that hospital I'm walking in, and these guys here as Shriners have helped me too. So I appreciate the support, and that's why I wanted to bring them tonight with me to proclaim August 3rd as 80s flashback day for the Greenville Shrine Hospital.
I grew up next door to that old hospital.
I can say, yeah, now it's a retirement home.
Oh, really?
Yes, it is, and I used to live half my time down in the basement.
I didn't realize that. Okay, Dave, we're cool.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Gavin. Appreciate that. All right, other than, yes, sir.
I was piggybacking.
Come around.
I was just gonna say, I realized that was on the consent agenda, but since that was a proclamation, don't we usually do like a photo with the mayor and, these guys showed up? Do we want to do that today?
You want to come up here and just sign a postcard or something?
I mean, he brought his fast with it
Yeah.
and everything. So.
Oh, yeah, bring the fez on up here. Yeah.
They brought them with them, so, you know, I figured they were.
Who was that? Ray Stevens made that song about the fez?
Yeah.
For whatever reason, for the photo bit.
Oh, so yeah, that's my name.
Can you write?
No.
He cannot write.
I can abbreviate. There you go.
Boy, did we fake this one.
I wrote Trump down there, how's that? Thank you, Bob. I saw you sign it, I saw you sign in your backyard.
Okay. All right, you knew, coming on around the table. Yes, ma'am. Hey, calm down. Thank
My
you.
turn.
It's Barbara's turn.
I mean, I'm so sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry, it's Brandon's turn again.
Oh,
He gets two turns.
I thought you were finished.
I should have been, I'm sorry. I absolutely love the consent agenda. It's amazing and saves time and everything, but maybe in the future we shouldn't do proclamations as part of the consent agenda.
And we can handle that.
Is that
No
okay?
problem.
Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
No problem. Ms. McCray?
Get lost. I would just like everyone to know that at 12, the festivities won't end at 12 on the 4th of July because the Women's History Trail will have a short presentation at 12 for the next 5 plaques that are going on the Women's History Trail through town. So I hope y'all will stay around for that.
We'll probably still have some popcorn and watermelon left. Okay, Ms. McCray.
I got nothing.
David, I'm sure you got something. Just say
At least one thing. I think Roland Mock of Rock and Roll Police brought up a pickle that the town is going to find itself in more going further down the road. That at some point we're going to have to actually look at it and actually take that into consideration and try to help solve those problems. I mean, if we expect people to be downtown during the evening hours, that's a problem that's going to have to get looked at pretty hard.
I agree, and we are going to have to look at it. Times are changing.
Absolutely.
Okay, anything else?
That's it.
Mr. Collins?
Couple of things. Litter on a Stick is back in town, Madam Manager, and I think we really need to take a look. I've just noticed it here in the last week or so. It appears to me that there's a lot of non-compliance with our sign ordinance. And if the lady with the colored hair is correct, and I'm saying if because I can't imagine the way our previous structure has been for the granting to the nonprofits just for certain types of usage on a one-time only basis, revisit. I can't quite figure out how that wraps in with grant money, but if it is causing a good project to not get grant money, they need to get to us, and we need to find some way to match it if we can.
Right.
If it turns out it's some of those causes that she was suggesting. Probably have to just look at it as it comes.
And I can't imagine it's as pervasive as she says, because, I mean, your management looked into that and tried to ask other municipalities how they handled their nonprofit funding, and they were sort of gave them the, dog looking at the radio thing, and
Yeah.
it's not very
And
complicated.
to piggyback on what Joe said, if that's the case, then that would need to be something that would need to be in a yearly budget, not in a pool that's doled out. It would need to be a guaranteed thing. So if there's a worthwhile cause,
Yeah.
that needs to be presented to us to be actually put into the budget, not in a pool of money that gets doled out on application.
Anything else, Mr. Collins?
No.
All right, I will consider or entertain a motion to adjourn, and everybody have a good 4th of July, and I don't know why I'm the only one that's patriotic.
I'll move that we adjourn.
I will second the motion to adjourn.
All in favor? All right, we're
I
still
led the
adjourned.
pledge. I'm.
Well, yeah, but